Apparently, there was an attempted attack on a U.S. embassy in Beirut. This is like breaking so far. Don't know enough details about it. This happened like, I think right as we went live. So you know it wasn't me. You know what I mean? I was here. I was live. So obviously I had nothing to do with it.
Right now, a gunman is in custody after a shootout at the U.S. Embassy in Lebanon.
Lebanese soldiers say that they shot and captured the suspect about half an hour after it began. The embassy is located in Aukar, which is located just outside of the city center. Those military members engaged with the gunman early this morning. An embassy security guard was injured during the shootout. Investigators are working to determine a motive for the attack. There's been an ongoing conflict between Hezbollah and Israel in the backdrop of the war of Gaza. Yesterday, a high-ranking official said Israel is ready to launch a major offensive at its northern border with Lebanon.
Dude, that's what Israel needs right now, I think. Yeah. No, open up like open up a new front. This time with a much more significant military. Not just like a group of dudes who are making bathtub rockets, but like an actual functional standing militia, basically. Not even a militia, but like a military force. It's always a good idea. Fuck it, YOLO. This is literally just like Adolf Hitlerian military tactics. Let's go invade Russia in the middle of the winter type shit. Great. Yeah. You joke, but Israel's right is desperate for an invasion of Lebanon. Yes. Great. Good stuff. Worked so well for the last time a fascist, ideologically fascist state engaged in permanent war for, not dissimilar reasons. Living room, as they called it. Lebensraum.
Let's bring in CBS News foreign correspondent Imtiaz Tayeb now. He's following all of this for us from Tel Aviv. Imtiaz, what more are we learning about the attack, who was behind it, and what the motivation may have been?
Lana, good to be with you. Well, what we do know is that a Syrian national is in hospital right now after he was shot in that shootout. Lebanese forces still investigating what sounds like a really alarming situation at the U.S. Embassy just outside of Beirut, in a Beirut suburb. I've been to this embassy, and I can tell you, it is a very heavily fortified place. In order to get anywhere near the main building, you have to go through several checkpoints, several searches. And so it is a very, very secure area. Still, the fact that the shootout took place and lasted as long as it did is really begging a lot of questions. Now, in terms of motive, there's no clear motive at this stage, as investigators still try to understand what happened outside that very secure embassy. Guys.
Well, Imtiaz, let's talk about the Israel component, because Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says that Israel...
Your hatred of Israel is making you ignore how successful the 2006 war against Hezbollah was? Yeah, famous Israeli dubs.
...is prepared to take strong action in the north as the military is ramping up its presence along the country's border with Lebanon. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, pretty much since the beginning of the war in Gaza, there's been rhetoric here in Israel saying just that. But the timing of this statement from Mr. Netanyahu, I think, is ringing a lot of alarm bells in capitals around the world, and not least in Washington. And the reason there's a concern there is that we know that there is this Israeli proposal to end the war in Gaza, which could see a ceasefire. And the concern is if that happens and the hostages are released, that the Israeli Prime Minister will turn his attention to the north of the border. You have to remember, again, since October 7th, 60,000 Israelis have been displaced from northern Israel as Hezbollah, which is an Iranian-backed armed and political faction in Lebanon, exchange nearly daily fire with Israel. In fact,
like right now, right now is a classic back and forth. Northern Israel's getting shellacked, southern Lebanon is getting shellacked, and vice versa. Okay, constantly. The dynamic changes dramatically if Israel decides to move in troops or increases attacks or increase the area of impact. All of a sudden, the rather ascetic Hezbollah that obviously has like concerns with civil governance and therefore is not, pushing in any sort of or not doing any sort of like serious military campaign, is forced into the battle. The reason why I think the reason why post October 7, like, even though it was a clear boundary break for any kind of like Iranian proxy or any of the axis of resistance against Israel and America in the region, the fact that they did not move in an expected way was because the Lebanese, oh no, how the I missed this. Sorry. The reasons as to it's fine. It's not a big deal. Yeah, someone said miss creatine pill delivery. I did. What? No, I didn't. I actually didn't. I just got my creatine pills. Let's go. Oh, the reason as to why Hezbollah did not move towards Israel beyond like bombing northern Israel was because, you know, Lebanese economy is not doing great. It's not doing great at all. They don't have like they can't withstand like dramatic bombing campaigns like previous Israeli incursions into Lebanon.
Villages along the border in southern Lebanon have been reduced to ruins. About 150,000 Lebanese are also displaced from their homes. It is an extremely volatile border and a rather extremely volatile situation. And very quickly, if Israel were to engage into an overt war with Hezbollah, it would be very different from what we see in Gaza. Hezbollah has an arms arsenal that is far greater than Hamas could ever dream of. And Hezbollah, which is a hardened fighting force after years of fighting in Syria. So this is very alarming if it does happen. Guys.
And Imtiaz, I want to ask you about a domestic topic. I know that Israeli police have been deployed ahead of today's Jerusalem Day flag march. Speak to us about some of the preparations amid what's growing tensions.
Oh yeah, it is. Of course, it's Jerusalem Day, which means, which means the Israeli clan, the inbred Hicks of Israel, are going to get extra fucking rowdy today. A herd of settlers assaulted the Palestinian journalist Saif al-Kawazmi in occupied Jerusalem. Absolute freaks. Flag Day in Israel, baby. Just doing some regular old Nazi shit, dude. Let's go. You can't directly compare the Lebanese economy with Hezbollah. They're not the state military, and since 2006 their numbers in arms have grown significantly. They've been taken down. Wait, it doesn't matter. They still have Hezbollah also has civil governance in mind as well, though. Like, they can't just move like a simple standing military. They have state considerations in mind. Like, they have to operate like as a political actor on top of. They can't just behave like a rogue military. They can't behave like a rogue military. So that is the reason why they are also tied to Lebanese interests across the board. We'll talk about Jerusalem Day in a second. Flag Day in a second.
Yeah, very tense. In fact, we were in Jerusalem, in the Old City, as that march started. And I have to be honest with you, it was extremely hostile. Although there's around 3,000 Israeli border police and police, who have been deployed to keep the peace there, that's certainly not what we experienced. Our team was shoved and kicked as we were trying to film outside the Damascus Gate in Jerusalem. So as you can imagine, it's a very tense scene there. We also have...
They knew we were Christians. They started spitting on us. It's really up. But also, Israel is still the most moral nation on the planet. So we said, please, sir, thank you. Thank you for spitting on me, I said to the 14-year-old inbred psychopath spitting directly in my vicinity as he called me a Christian dog. It was okay.
Heard reports of other journalists being very severely beaten by these young men, predominantly, who take part in this march. A march which has over the years become a day or a rally.
It was cool. It was cool. It was like, I liked it. I thought it was valid. I deserve it.
Point for far-right extremists in Israel to march through the streets of the Old City, the Muslim quarter of Jerusalem, where many Palestinians live, chanting phrases like "death to Arabs" and "we will burn your village." So as you can imagine, it is an extremely tense and extremely fraught.
Is it? Bro, it's a Nazi march, man. What the are we doing here? There is no world in which a Nazi march like this gets this kind of coverage where they're doing Nazi shit, specifically fucking trying to do pogroms to Palestinian shopkeepers, and you're like, well, it was really tense. No, it's a Nazi march and they're doing Nazi shit. Oh my God.
Time, and for our team, it was a bit of a rough time as well. Guys.
Pretty eye-opening experience. MTS Tayeb, thank you very much.
Oh, it's an eye-opening experience. It's so shocking. Yeah, death to Arabs was being chanted at the perfectly normal, definitely not Nazi march. It's only eye-opening if you actually do open your eyes to the fucking reality and turn around and realize that this is this is Israel, okay? This is Israel. The protection that these guys get and the fact that they do this every year is not simply a fringe extreme moment. This is functionally government sanctioned. And as a matter of fact, it's so government sanctioned that the people that are participating in this are in the fucking government, okay? We're talking about the finance minister. We're talking about the minister in charge of the police and demolitions, okay? Ben-Gvir and Smotrich, both settlers, both exactly like these fucking demons. The idea that this is like unique or fringe, oh, I can't believe it, is ridiculous. It's like having the Patriot Front, you know, those like federal agent looking Nazis that fucking go around and protest. It's as if they were doing it in a black neighborhood while specifically beating up black people and destroying black businesses. And you had like, I don't know, like Mike Johnson go and march with them and speak about how cool it is that we're beating on black people. Like, there is, America is a white supremacist nation. I bring this up all the time, but like the overt fascism that you can see on any given day inside of Israel, both Israel proper and including the occupied territories, is unimaginable. They're doing Charlottesville Unite the Right rallies on a regular basis every year, and it's like people don't look at this as history repeating itself. Look at that. Look. Oh, it's so fringe. It's so crazy. Ben-Gvir shattering the status quo. Jerusalem is ours. Damascus Gate is ours. The Temple Mount is ours. Today, in accordance with my policy, Jews prayed freely on the Temple Mount. We say in the simplest way, it is ours. Now, if you don't know what that's about, here's Barak Ravid's reporting on it. Israeli Minister of National Security, Itamar Ben-Gvir, who is in charge of the Israeli police, says his policy is that Jews can pray freely at the Temple Mount / Haram al-Sharif compound, a violation of the status quo in a sensitive and holy site. The reason why he wants to do that is so that they can fully take it over. The reason why he could do that is so that there are clashes there and that they can just bring in the police again and brutalize the Palestinians. Yeah, he's like, I want to convey a message to Hamas and every home in Gaza.
יש תמונות של הר הבית, יש תמונות של ירושלים, ואנחנו אומרים להם ירושלים שלנו, שער שכם שלנו, הר הבית שלנו. היום, לפי המדיניות שלי, נכנסו לעיר העתיקה יהודים בתנועה חופשית, וגם בהר הבית התפללו בצורה חופשית. אנחנו אומרים בצורה הכי פשוטה, זה שלנו, זה המסר לחמאס. אני מתפלל על הפצועים, מתפלל לשחרור החטופים, אבל אומר את החמאס ואת החיזבאללה צריך לנצח במלחמה, רק במלחמה, וזה שלנו, הר הבית שלנו, שער שכם שלנו, שידעו את זה בכל העולם.
You guys need to understand, this is the last intifada occurred as a consequence of around in this exact same way, okay? And this is worse than that. The second intifada, which led to, bombs and bus stops and shit. Would you say this is the worst event since 1948? What do you mean? Yes, the last 8 months have been objectively worse than 1948. I mean, more death and more destruction. We'll see what happens at the end of the 8-month campaign. How many, millions of Palestinians displaced currently. The second intifada occurred after Ariel Sharon walked onto Al-Aqsa with Israeli police and settlers. They know what they're doing. They're trying to fucking egg on the Palestinian population further after doing a ethnic cleansing so they can pack up the West Bank too, further pack up the West Bank. Prime Minister's office denies the claim. Israel Prime Minister's office pushes back on Ben-Gvir's statement. It says the status quo at the Temple Mount hasn't changed. It will not change. Yeah, it's the classical provoke and revenge strategy which Moshe Dayan masterminded. Why is Israel even going so hard? They aren't allowed to take any territory by our American government, right? Come on, dude. They are the American government. What the fuck are you talking about? Another not so fun fact is that Israel has killed 500 plus Palestinians in the West Bank since October 7. In the West Bank, not Hamas, in the West Bank, not Gaza, in the West Bank, in occupied Palestinian land that Israel illegally occupies. We've already talked about, we've already talked about the supposed architectural reason or archaeological reasons as to why, Israel is digging deep under the Al-Aqsa Mosque and most likely undermining the foundations of the Al-Aqsa Mosque for years and years at this point. They're trying to destroy it. The Israeli ICC judge just resigned resigned. Oh my God. Israel's appointed judge of the International Court of Justice resigned, citing personal reasons. Retired Supreme Court President Aharon Barak has resigned from his position as judge at the hearing concerning South Africa's petition accusing, no, this is not ICC, this is ICJ, in Gaza, citing personal reasons. Oh shit. Anyway, things are not looking great is my point. They're not looking good at all. Well, not the ICJ thing. This... Literal Hitler Youth? Oh, 100%. 100p. Think about it this way. Pre-October 7 discourse among the progressive pro-Palestinian camp was that it's a faux pas to make comparisons to Nazis in Israel. It's no longer a faux pas. Pure fascism. Here is Omdim Be'achad on so-called Jerusalem Day. Droves of young West Bank settlers come to Jerusalem to attack Palestinians in the old city. Standing together, activists are there, and they try to provide protective presence, de-escalate, and force the police to stop right-wing violence. But of course, they still fail ultimately because these douchebags are the ones that the police are there to protect, really. This is the death the Arabs chant that they were doing. Let's see what Nir Hasan said here. The rifle is also strong this year. Oh, this is, I don't know what kind of fucking new and unique evil dumb shit this is, but or maybe it's old. I'm not familiar with it. I mean, if I see yellow with Arabic lettering, I think Hezbollah. When I see yellow with Hebrew or the Star of David on it, I think Kahanis. I don't know if it's Kahanis or not, but usually, like, the Kahanis flag is yellow. I don't know if this is a Kahanis flag. I don't know what the going on there. But who are the purple vests? Yes, the purple vests are Omdim Be'achad, which is Hebrew for standing together. They are a Israeli organization comprised of both Israeli Jews and also Palestinian citizens of Israel. They are, I would say, probably the most popular progressive movement in Israel. Like, they're nowhere near as popular as like the genuine anti-Zionist leftists in Israel, but they are, you know, they do a lot of good work. For sure, considering how unimaginably fascist Israeli society and of course the Israeli government is, you know, they're pretty good. Where did all these kids come from? Did they travel just to do Nazi shit? Yes, they came from the West Bank, probably Hebron. I don't know. I mean, that's where like a lot of the most rabid ultra-Zionist settlers are. But yes, they come from the West Bank to Jerusalem to beat the shit out of Palestinians. No, they're not from Brooklyn. Okay, no, not all of those guys are from Brooklyn. Many of them are just like straight up from there. They were born in a illegal settlement. They are there to normalize apartheid. BDS has even called them out specifically, and BDS isn't even that radical. So many of them are from New York. I'm not joking. I was there today. No, listen, I know there are more than 75,000 American citizens with dual nationality with Israel that live in the West Bank alone in occupied illegal settlements. These people are technically doing what is known as settler terrorism, as in their presence in this land that does not belong to them is actually an act of terror. Beyond that, they also engage in like the regular acts of terror that you are seeing unfolding in front of your eyes. How is mainstream media literally not covering this Nazi shit? It's insane. Goes to show that America is squarely a fascist state. They're not covering this in the same for the same exact reasons as to why they didn't offer a lot of coverage to the Mossad activity with the ICC prosecutor Ben Suda. That was the Guardian's own reporting, and yet for some weird reason, it didn't get a lot of play in American news. The reason why it doesn't get a lot of play in American news is because it makes Israel look really bad. That's it. It makes them look really bad. You can't really spin this. It makes them look really bad in a way that Americans can understand as well. Because this type of shit, Americans can contextualize as well. They don't just see the Star of David and go, oh, these guys must be the good guys. They look at those guys, they hear what they're saying, they see their actions, and they go, oh, I know what this is like. This is exactly like the Klan. This is exactly like the insane right-wing militias doing mob violence and looking to lynch people. So that's what it is. So you're not going to see a lot of this, just like you don't see a lot of coverage from the West Bank in general, because the violence in the West Bank is something that Americans and the Western world can contextualize much better than the rubble, the cities reduced to rubble that you see in Gaza. When you see the cities reduced to rubble in Gaza, you think, oh, this is just like Syria. Oh, this is just like Iraq. This is just like Afghanistan. It's just a bunch of Muslims that are, getting punished for being radical or scary or violent and barbaric. Americans are trained to see city blocks being reduced to rubble in Muslim areas. They know that is like they think that is somehow permissible. They've been taught that is actually valid due to all of the propaganda surrounding the war on terror, the failed war on terror. But when you see West Bank violence against Palestinians indigenous to the land, Palestinians being brutalized by random inbred religious fundamentalist hicks, okay, like this, and their spawn of Satan children, okay, these shits assaulting the press. When you see shit like that, when you see this, all of a sudden you go, whoa, I know what that is. This is ridiculous. This is unacceptable. I think Jacob, y'all remember Jacob? Oh, if I don't steal this, someone else will. Jacob from Long Island, I think he was either from Brooklyn or Long Island. Like, that was literally like a genuine moment where a lot of people that were first being introduced to this concept immediately understood what the was going on. You see that guy? You see Jacob go, oh, if I don't steal your home, someone else will. All of a sudden, with a Brooklyn accent, you're like, oh, I know what's going on here. This is fucking ridiculous. Yeah.
You are stealing my house.
And if I don't steal it, someone else is going to steal it.
No.
Yeah, like, I'm not even exaggerating, by the way. This is just straight up. Like, that is exactly what he said.
No one is allowed to steal.
This is in Sheikh Jarrah, which is occupied East Jerusalem. There is obviously a policy of like home stealing in Sheikh Jarrah. Occupied East Jerusalem directly has a demographic number, a demographic percentage that the Israeli government officially has for East Jerusalem. Like, they want to make East Jerusalem a specific percentage Jewish. It is territory that is supposed to be contested. This was absolutely a radicalizing moment for many people who had never actually understood what the fuck was going on, maybe didn't pay attention. Why? Because everybody knows when you got a motherfucker from Brooklyn going into another person's home being like, this is mine now, I stole it, you go, what the fuck? What is happening here? This is the type of shit when you see in the Western world, even if you're like completely uninitiated with what the fuck goes on in Israel, you can understand it in Western terms. Okay, there's a clear good guy, bad guy situation. There isn't enough like justifications that stick. This is a reality that many liberal Zionists, even in Israel, understand. That's part of the reason why they're so mad at like the West Bank settlers in many different instances, obviously for a multitude of different reasons, but this is one of them. Many liberal Zionists personally understand that if you want to maintain the Zionist project, if you want to maintain the apartheid, if you want to keep Israel the way it is, demographically pure, with a Jewish majority, a Jewish ethno-state for Jews, you can't have this kind of shit happening on a regular basis, because the Western world sees that and goes, oh, what the fuck? This is insane. Yeah, many liberal Zionists hate settlers because they're giving the game up. They're fucking up the bag. They're the apartheid bag. Yo, Hasan, I tried showing this to a conservative coworker of mine to try and humanize Palestinians, and he reverse carded me and said that sucks, but it happens here too, and pointed to squatters. How would you handle that? That's a great fucking example. How does he want to handle a squatter that comes into someone's family home? It's not like that's empty fucking real estate. There's a family directly living there, and he's just taking their fucking house. That's very different than squatting, which is an empty fucking building. But even then, ask your right-wing coworker how they would handle some random freak breaking into their home and being like, this is mine now. What would your right-wing coworker do in that situation? They would fucking bust out the blicky and pop him in the fucking head. That's exactly what they would do. That's crazy. The mob moved on. This happened during a march, the flag march. Saif is okay-ish. This is all like a final update of his on his condition. What is this? Seen the fucking state of this? NHS staff will be banned from showing Palestinian flags at work, the health secretary says. Yeah, Can you describe what makes Israel fascist specifically and how they operate domestically? This isn't a gotcha. I mean, what do you think this is? Like, what do you think we're looking at right now? Zionism is a fascist ideology. That's all it is. It is about one group of people with certain characteristics, inalienable, unchangeable genetic characteristics. Judaism is an ethno-religion, dominating anyone who is not a part of that in-group, dominating them through violent means. It is an ideology built around the justification of settler colonial violence. The difference is settler colonial violence in general predates the fascism of contemporary history. So we just didn't dictate it, or we didn't acknowledge it as fascism. The only difference is Israel's doing the same settler colonial violence that many of the Western world was built on, including the United States of America, in 2024 in fucking broad daylight. Fascism is easily identified as blood and soil. Zionism is about blood and soil, 100%. Nazi Germany also had a settler colonial project. Exactly. Lebensraum. So, literally the same shit. How history is where Jewish people went through a genocide and now they're doing one to people they consider the enemy. I mean, I think the most up part is that the Israeli government is claiming that they're doing this for Judaism. This is not being done for Judaism. There's no Judaism here. Okay, this is just straight up fascist nonsense. You're not getting an invite to the Zionist cookout? Yeah, I know. Well, trust me, I'm not interested in eating shittier, watered down versions of the food of the areas that I grew up in. Okay, I'm good on that. I'm missing out on absolutely nothing. I'm missing out on the worst dog shit techno music being played by dudes wearing capri pants, tight ass capri pants, serving me the absolute worst food. In many instances, food of my people as well. I'm good on that completely. Miss me with that entirely, I think. So why is Spectator saying Tel Aviv is the world best cities for food 2023? Wait, what? Who cares, dude? They're British. What do they know about food?